Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the back of this Teardown lab. You'll notice it might look a different hue here, and that's because I've cut down a light fitting, and I'm going to be showing you some clips now. So yeah, basically if you remember, I had those 60 by 60 light fittings that I fitted to the ceiling in a previous video, but I wanted something better for my bench because under my bench I was using a fluorescent tube light, and it's quite old. And frankly, it's got a nice kind of orangey glow in the videos, but it's not very bright, and it's not good for my eyes when I'm trying to focus on these surface mount things. So you can see in the photos that I've sort of cut it down, worked out all the different layers between them, the Fresnel lens, the reflector, all those bits and bobs, and I basically made it just about half the width it was. It's under half, it's probably not quite, just bigger than a third basically. But it's the same sort of 48 watts condensed into that smaller space. Yeah, I just sort of cut it down, drilled new holes, squirreled it together, bolted it all up, screwed it together, bolted it all up, fitted it, just using some washers and some screws really as a bracket. And that's what you're seeing here in the video. And you're probably asking, why do such a dramatic thing just to get a bit more light? Twofold reason really. The reason you need more light is not only just for my eyes, but because my cameras have rather sophisticated modes of operation, and one of them is aperture priority on recording. Now if you recall, cameras have a lens. Pardon my throat here, look at that. You've got a lens like so, and you've got something here called the aperture, which is kind of like the iris, and then you've got the CCD, and that's basically the body of a camera. So your zoom moves this in and out, and then you've got light coming in, and if I recall, it's something weird goes on, like the light comes in and then it's bent weirdly like that, I want to say, because it's kind of upside down, or maybe I've got it wrong. Doesn't matter though, don't worry about it, just worry about this aperture. So when you've got low light, the aperture has to be opened really wide as it can go normally, depending on your camera, because it wants to let in the most light to the sensor. So it's kind of going, I can see loads of light, and that will get you, your even video at that particular ambient light level. But if you increase the light, so now I've got this 48 watts of LED, so that's enough to light probably a small office, now belting purely on the desk. Your eyes do get used to it quickly enough, but it is a lot of light. What happens is you can actually shut down the aperture to make it really tiny, really tiny. And those of you at home who are short-sighted or long-sighted, you can try this. Get your fingers up to your eye, or make a little hole, a tiniest hole that you can just see a tiny little bit of light. Make it really tiny and look through it. Even if you're short-sighted, take your glasses off, look through it, and you'll see a sharp picture because you've made a pinhole lens and you're focusing up using a pinhole like the old pinhole cameras. So why is this relevant? Well, it's relevant because in my videos I show you things like these boards, don't I? And then I hold them up and then the camera may or may not focus and it takes a while. Now I've got loads of extra light. Potentially the camera won't have to focus, because when you bring that aperture in, you've got far tighter far looser focal range, I guess, depending on how you describe it, so that the objects in the camera can focus now, are kind of in focus, because it's getting through that tiny little lens. So I'm just going to do an example now. So I've got this and I normally hold it up, and as soon as I hold it up above, you see here, see my hand, this point, I'm actually out of the range of light here, so I am in danger of it not working beyond that, but I'm going to start to that point. So let's go bang. How's that looking? Is that focused? Holding it up, it still looks pretty focused. I mean, it might look a bit dark. It's hard for me to tell, I've only got the tiny little screen to look at, but let's do a test. I'm going to hold it right up there and we're going to see if that's in focus. And then I'm going to drop it literally straight down on the deck and we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I think that's looking damn good. And if we do that kind of focus, yeah, I mean the camera had to work there because we've effectively messed with its optics, but let's see. I guess there's only so much it can do. So maybe we're losing something in that respect, that the camera can't actually Can't even seem to focus once you start getting to a certain point like that. So I got to be careful now. So when I use my zoomed mode, I have to show everything on the deck because there's no point me holding it up any higher. But okay, that's fine. I think we can live with that. But we should have an overall slightly sharper picture. And then when I'm doing the full zoomed out stuff, it shouldn't take as long for the whole thing to kind of react and kick into play. Although, as I said, it might look darker when I get to this point. Just to have a quick play, I can actually adjust the aperture on the fly on this camera, if I recall correctly. So we could do a tiny little test if you're game, which I'm sure you are. So I'm just going to switch the mode into my aperture selector. So we're on f22 now. So I'm going to just bring that down to f4. So look at it here. So that's f4. See, as I turn it up to f22, see how it gets sharper? Then back down to f4. Come on now. See, it's fighting. It's fighting me. f22. Yeah, see, f22. Interesting stuff, eh? Interesting stuff. So that's why I cut down a light. I cut down a light and I like it. And that's why my videos from now on will be this slightly paler shade. As ever, thanks for watching.